Well, welcome, episode 40. And I'm in the podcast studio, and Jesse's not. He's at his house.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's kind of a milestone. It's kind of crazy to think we've already hit 40 podcasts.
Right. The funniest part is how many we had to redo originally. Like just either something wouldn't record right, or I think we've pretty much got it figured out now, at least to record them. So
I think the first like 3 or 4 were bad. We were looking at the cameras and they were dead, and now we've got it figured out with over the phone and in person. So we're good.
Yep. So that's fun. Like we get through turkey season here, and I think people are gonna have a little bit more free time, and they'll be wanting to turkey hunt or wanting to fish, and we'll have a little bit different topics
Yeah,
to keep everybody, involved.
we have in the future, the next couple of guys are buddies I went to Upper Iowa with. I went to college with them. One of them is going to talk about live scopes and catching fish.
That's cheating.
When you go with them, you catch fish. It's next weekend we're going to Rathman, so I'm excited to reunite with those guys and hopefully put some fish in the boat. And then we also have Dano, who is probably the most interesting person I know. He's done everything from photography, videography in the rainforest, which he's got stories on that. And then he's got a Roadrunner for a pet. Yeah, it's wild, but it's like a pet. He's got a good story to tell. And the videography and photography with him are really neat. So that'll be a good podcast in the future. Maybe next week we'll jump on with him. He's busy right now, so it's just you and I.
Yep. Sorry, everybody.
It's us again. But I think
we apologize. We've just had so many things like fall through, and just I don't know. It's no excuse, but we needed to plan ahead a little bit better. Is usually what the issue is, and we're having to do this now because what is this, Friday night? So we're gonna have to knock this one out, and then first thing next week we're gonna have to knock another one out because I'll be gone for like 5 days.
Yep, you're gone, Wisconsin turkey hunting, and then I am going to Rathman on the weekend. So we're both pretty busy. It looks like your counterpart up in Wisconsin's laying down the turkeys. They shot, I think, 3 today, 1 yesterday.
Yeah, it's just different because they do everything by zone and it's per week. So we're like Iowa, we have like our 4 seasons, but like fourth season's almost a month long. Well, where they're at, you can buy. I don't know how. I don't even think there's a limit on the tags. It's whatever is available, and then it's per um, zone per week. So I think technically you might be able to get like 2 zones in the same week if they don't sell out the first time, because that's how I got mine. You can either apply and pick a zone and get it, but if they have leftovers, they go up, you know, depending on the day. And Austin was like, "Hey, this day you need to call in and buy your tag." So I did, and didn't have any issues.
Nice. And you got Mitch going with you too?
Yep. I'll leave here and go to Cedar Rapids, meet up with Mitch Tuesday, and I think we're gonna stop by Vortex because we drive right by the Vortex place on the way up to Austin. So
Cool.
I've never been in there. It looks really awesome.
Awesome. That's interesting. That'll be fun. But on this week's episode, we're going to talk about HuntStand app and how we utilize that. There's a lot of cool features that come along with the app, and if you guys are using any apps to knock on doors, to map out your food plots, that kind of thing, we'll kind of dive into those and how we both use them. It's something I use. I wouldn't say daily, but a lot during deer season. Probably daily during deer season and off season, trying to find properties, that kind of thing. But have you mapped out your personal farm yet with plots?
Yeah, Yeah. I do it on my desktop just because it's so much bigger, and you can really fine tune the lines and all that. And um, yeah, I just had it up a minute ago before we started this, but yeah, I have pretty much it all laid out. I have where the food plots are going. I have tree stand locations, where like the CRP is going to get planted, where I put in my apple trees, my mineral hole, um, box blinds, screening, cedars, anything that I've planted, I've marked out on here. And then you can go over to the key and basically it tells you what everything is. And I'll add cameras to it. Um, when we get closer, when we really start tracking the deer, and stuff moving around. I think the only one I have on there now is my gate gap one that I had marked.
Yeah, I think we were kind of both on the same page. I did the same thing with my farm, and mapped it out. I know one cool feature is when you're first, let's say you're first mowing a plot or you're going to plant a plot and you're trying to map it out, you can walk it, and there's a um, basically follows your GPS satellite. It traces your steps, so you can map
Yeah.
out that way. If you don't, you can get like precise um, on that, or you can guess and just kind of use um, some of the map tools and trace that way. I know I've measured areas like acres for ponds, different ponds, and see how big a size they are. Um,
Right.
there's a lot of cool features on there, and you can also share those waypoints with you or someone else that's a user. Say,
Yeah.
hey, Brad's coming to Iowa this year. He's supposed to come last year, but things fell through. So he's coming this year. I can send him the points on the map and say, hey, go to this stand, and it'll walk him right to it. So
Yeah,
it's
I've noticed with mine, it helped me because with my CRP, when Nick set it up, he allotted two 1 acre food plots out of CRP, and they had to be in certain areas where he left them out, and the one is like right, it's like 1.01 acres, where my corn plot's going to be, but the other one like I had everything measured out. I'm like, oh, okay, this is probably an acre. Well, I put it on there, and the clover is going to be a third, and then I'm going to have 2/3 be beans. Well, I drew it all up and I clicked on it, and it was only point like 8 acres, and I'm like, well, I can put in 2/10 more of an acre of food plot. So I went back in, and when I was there last time and walked farther out and traced it, and then it was 1.15. So then I was able to make it smaller on the map so I know exactly where my basically an acre allotments is going to be. So
Yep, and there's different topography things on there that you can see where your drainage is and that kind of stuff, and you can mark out trails to and from tree stands. Um, it's really cool. My favorite thing is there's a month-to-month satellite imagery. It's not that crystal clear, but you can actually see. So let's say my instance went in and cleared a 2.5 acre, 3 acre plot where someday I'll build a house, hopefully.
right.
You can go to that month to month and then you can see, oh wow, I actually cleared it out. Make your diagram there, and then once the imagery updates, it'll show an open spot. I think yours
Where's
has
that at?
where
Where's that option at?
it's in one of the I think there's a box. I don't have it pulled up right now, but if you click down where it says like public, there's a layer. There's different layers, and if you scroll down, it'll say monthly satellite view.
Okay. Hmm.
Not crystal clear. Did you find it?
No, I got a spot where it's like hunting area. One's public, personal, private, and group.
Oh,
Um,
there's
yeah.
the one with different layers. Um, I think it drops down. There's like maybe 3 bars or a couple dots you hit, and then it'll show.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
might
I'll have to do some looking on it. Like I said, I haven't really. I'm sure I am so far behind on the like using this that I'm missing a lot. I'm sure I can always guarantee I'm missing a ton of features.
Yeah, it's a great app to have, and it's not that expensive. We do a yearly subscription, but I have. If you zoom out, you can see like my hotspots, my county that I live in. I drop pins everywhere, and it's the stuff that I hunt, and I put my cameras, my stands, and then I go back, and when I want to pull stuff, I know exactly where it's at, and I don't leave it out there all year. So
Oh, yeah, I found the monthly thing. It is not very well done. Very
it's not,
pixelated.
yeah, it's grainy, but there's, and I've been on multiple other websites, GIS, Google Maps. I mean, all that stuff. There's no layer like that. So
Oh, I'm sure. Like I
all
said, it's just
grainy, it does work. I mean, you can definitely tell where stuff is, and you can see manipulations of the ground and that kind of stuff. And then the biggest, I'd say, probably the key feature why most people use this map or this app is for public knowledge, for access. Like if you want to go drive around, hey, there's a turkey in this field, I'm gonna pull up, see who owns it. Sometimes it's in an LLC, you got to do some digging. Other times it's in, John Henry's. There's his address. You can go knock on his door and ask him for permission to hunt, type of thing.
right. I did that a lot in Nebraska actually. I knew that I knew I had permission from the landowner to hunt his stuff, but I didn't know all of his stuff, and I was able to pull it up and go, "Oh, he owns that field too." He gave me permission to hunt any of his stuff I wanted to. But he's like, "Yeah, I have some over here, I have some over there," and you know how farmers are. They're just like, "Yeah, go whatever."
Yeah, it's
So
turkey, but
yeah, it's a turkey.
yeah, it's nice for that, so you know exactly where you're at, and you're not trespassing, and you don't have to bother him.
Right.
Get out the plat book and say, hey, this is what I can hunt. And there's an offline feature too, which I don't go out west. A lot of guys that do will utilize that. It's a great feature to have where you can save those maps, and when you're out of cell phone reception, you can utilize those on your phone. So
Yeah, I just took screenshots. Once again, like I said, I'm not utilizing everything that I should. So, but I like everything that I have on it. So it's cool to see stuff laid out on the farm, and it looks like a big painting right now. All the different colors and all the
yeah,
different lines and whatnot. So
same. And then I'd say if you guys are going to utilize the properties to search for maybe more private properties to hunt, or even using for public, it's a great app to have. I would say when you're going door knocking and you find their first name, it kind of gives you a leg up. How do they know who I am? So hey, Mr. Swanson, I see that you own a couple hundred acres. Could I hunt, or can I help you do some farm work, and hope can I get permission to hunt, type of thing. There's a lot of different key factors into gaining permission to hunt, and I think over the years, and I pulled a guy out of, I think I've talked about this before, but he was stuck in his Avalanche. I had my F-150 with big tires, and I pulled him out of the river bottom, and I shot a couple of my biggest deer. I think one of those back there on his property. So there's a lot of things you can do.
yeah, it's I've definitely used it more than I thought I would. It's one of those things. It's nice to have the option, and it helps me keep track of things. Like I did put trail cameras on it, stands on it, on different farms. But as far as like all the features, I've been taking the time on my personal farm more than some of the other permission farms I hunt, just because I want to keep track of what I'm doing, so I have a bigger scope in the long run of everything that I have done or will do, or plan on doing.
Yeah. And with you saying that, you can also go in and get these maps printed out for your own property, your properties you hunt. There's a section in there where, yep, right back. You
Yep.
can print it out, and it's pretty good resolution then you can have that for your house or put up in your man cave. Also, one thing to touch on, you can search for people's properties if it's in their name or if the elder know. Um, like, let's say Fred Mahogany owns land. You can go in there, type in his last name, first name, and it'll pop up with what he's got. And
Yep.
so it's cool. I think a lot of our team members utilize it. Like Jesse said, there's a lot of things that you don't know about till you start digging in and
Right.
out.
Yeah, I'm excited to do the trail camera stuff, because is there a way to link it to the trail cameras yet, or no?
I don't know that answer. I think Will from Hunt Stand would know that a little bit better than
Because like when I add a camera to this, it's got the Stealth Cam logo on it.
I think they're incorporating that. I'm not sure how or if that's come to.
I mean, that would be super cool if you could pick a camera, like have a, Deceptor somewhere and click on it and go, it would pull up on your phone or on your computer all the pictures off that camera, and you
Yeah.
could like save the ones you wanted to on it.
Yeah, maybe that is a thing. I don't know. I know what I utilize it for, and that's names and my own property.
Right. Yep.
But the public thing is really cool because you can see all the public lands and all around Iowa. So
Yeah, there's a filter on this that shows all the public stuff, and I think it breaks it down a little bit. It shows you different accesses where you can get to it, where you can park, and then, like I said, the resolution is really, really clear. I think if you were going out of state for the first time and going to do public, like you could do like 90% of your homework from either your app or on the computer, and do a lot of the work and a lot of like e-scouting, I guess is what they call it, before you ever step foot on the property. So you can narrow down, you could have 3 or 4 public pieces that are all 500 acres, and you could go and narrow down, okay, well, this one is just a giant block of timber. It might be really hard to hunt, but this one over here is along the river and it's got a pinch in between 2 fields. That looks like a good spot. I'm going to mark it and check it when I get there.
no, that's. I mean, I've been around here 10 years now, and just last year I ran into a guy that was e-scouting. He was probably on one of the better parcels that I help manage, and he was in a good spot. I don't know if he shot a deer, probably did, but I know in the years past in that area, a couple guys. I think one guy that rented one of our cabins said he's seen like $40 one day down the river bottom. So seeing more deer than I am on private, and he's on public. So
yeah, there's good spots all over the place. I mean, and I'll jump back on the private side of it. I was talking to a customer a couple days ago. Oh no, it was yesterday, talking to him about just hunting in general, and how he had lost a couple farms, either stuff getting sold or somebody dying and all that, and he just you know he called the neighboring property and said, hey, I used to hunt over here, so and so passed away, do you have anybody that hunts? And he's like, no. The dude owns like 300 acres. The neighbor next to him has box blinds and food plots all over the place, and it's just some 300-acre farm that nobody hunts. So he late muzzleloader hunts it. And actually, he was telling me that the landowner called him and asked him about, hey, do you turkey hunt? He's like, well, I do. I'm probably not going to get to this year. Just work isn't working. It's like, oh, okay. I was wondering if one of my friend wanted to take his grandkid out. He's like, well, absolutely take him out. But you have rights to hunt here. I wanted to ask you first. That's the landowner asking,
yeah.
the guy permission. And it just goes to show that there's so many pieces that you can get on if you're willing to do the work, and you go on the app and you find an area. Hey, this person owns this 40. It may not look great, but you expand it out to the section and you're like, wow, that little bit of timber on that 40 funnels off from a mile and a half away right into this food. I mean,
Yeah. Some of the best places that I've hunted are places that most people would overlook, and
Oh,
that's
I mean, that's where you killed the big typical.
yep. That's the thing. You don't need these big pieces to kill big deer. You need the right pieces, and if you can go find a farmer that a lot of farmers don't like deer. If you get down to southern Iowa, it's a little bit, there's a lot more pressure, and it's harder to
Yeah.
get. If you go, central, eastern, western Iowa, if you go knock on doors and you're willing to help a farmer out, hey, I'll help you bale hay, I'll help you do some chores. I'm willing to work for this in order to gain permission to hunt. Like that's going to go further than almost anything. So
Right. They just even asking. Like I've had permission pieces in the past where I've just asked and they're like, "Oh, well no, you don't need to do that. No, seriously, if you need help, here's my phone number, just call me." And
yep,
9 times out of 10 I don't get phone calls, but I have had landowners ask me to do things and I'm like, "Yep,
yep.
let me
Like
know."
that's when you were clearing cedars for them in the
Yep.
CRP. And you helped out. You went above and beyond there for permission to hunt, and you killed a couple of really nice, your biggest deer there. So,
Yep.
um, yeah, the app's great. Utilize it as you will. I know putting in a pond, we got some earth ponds, hopefully. I use the topography to try to find where I can catch the most runoff at, so I don't have to keep filling it up. And I know exactly where it's going to go once they arrive. So
Yep. Yep. We've talked about where I got mine going to with the drainage and all that stuff, and I've even looked at putting in an actual pond, having somebody dig one out for me. Um, Not so much for a hunting purposes, maybe more like waterfowl purposes, but just to, get a 3/4 acre pond or something like that I can stock and, take the kids fishing. We can go down there and do that sort of stuff on our own property. And, you know, I'm owning land's like the funnest thing ever.
it is. It's a lot of work, but it's definitely work. It's what can I do next? How can I improve it? What's all your work is going towards something, and whether it's an acre or 100 acres, you got something to look forward to every year. So
Yep. What are you doing next on yours?
I just ordered some Buterac 200 and some clethodim, which I didn't know Allball actually makes the stuff that I purchased. I purchased it on Amazon. Should be here next Wednesday, and I'm going to get my clover plots sprayed. And then after that, pretty much water. I'm going to go buy, I think you did this one year. Bought a bunch of buckets, and you put lids on them. I think you're watering apple trees or something.
Yeah. Yep.
So I'm going to do that, go that route so I can pull my truck in and don't have to worry about cleaning out my sprayer, and I just water each tree. With the amount of rain we've got, I haven't had to do that. I just need to go get some mulch and mulch the trees, keep them. I did look into, I had a guy, he's killed a lot of big deer. He said he planted some apple trees and then had the cedar apple rust come in and kill some of the trees. So I did some research on that. And what it is the fruit from the cedar tree. It spreads pollen and basically kills the tree. There's some apple trees that are immune to it. I think like the Granny Smith and maybe like a Red Delicious or something. But not going to go cut down every cedar within 200 or 2 miles, because that's how far the pollen can spread. I'm just going to keep my eye out for the ones that are fruit bearing, and if I have to axe a couple here and there, that's what I'm going to do. So it's not feasible to cut every. I mean, you especially down south. I mean, we still have a lot of cedars around here, but down south it's even worse. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's one of those. Do you really worry about it, or you worry about it if you have to, sort
it's
of thing.
from what I've researched, it's going to stunt the growth for the apple tree for a year. Some of these apple orchards deal with it, obviously, when they're trying to produce mass fruit, more than my 7 trees that I have. But I did notice on my peach trees, they have little tiny fruits. They flowered and they have like the size of pennies. So
Oh, really?
yeah, that was kind of cool. I noticed that the other day when I was.
Yeah, I haven't checked mine in a couple weeks. I'm just hoping we get a break from this rain so we can work up food plots and all that stuff. It's, get my CRP planted. It's just been so wet. There's no way you could plant anything right now. You couldn't get a tractor in there without ripping everything up. So hopefully we get a break and Nate can get in and plant my CRP, and me and my uncle can get in and prep my ag plots and all that stuff. So, um, do
Yeah.
you recommend spraying your clover before you mow it?
No, I would go in and mow first. That way those plants are, the grasses, and or if you're spraying clethodim first, I don't know what's competing with your clover right now. Is it more grass or more broadleaves?
I would say there's some patches of grass, but a lot of it's like little yellow flower, you
It's
know.
probably your turnips and radishes flowering. I know I had that problem, and they're like 2 foot tall. Um, I would,
But mowing them should be knock them out.
yeah, but also if you have any other broadleaves coming in, you're gonna want to spray Buterac first. Just see what you have. I wouldn't tank mix till you got down there, but definitely mow it first. That way those plants are young and they're trying to put out energy, and that way you get your best kill. So
Can you spray it right after you mow, or do you wait?
you can spray it after. I wouldn't like cover the plant because then you're kind of protecting it. So try to mow like one way and push all the dead or the grass that you're cutting, the clippings off one way if you can.
Mine exits out the back.
Well, I guess you can't do that. So if it's sparse, you'll be fine as long as it's not like super thick and you can't, you know what I mean? You can't throw a mattock
Right.
something and try to spray it, and you're not going to get a good kill whatsoever. So
And honestly, it's not bad. There's like little patches, and even the patches aren't thick. There's a couple lines that have like that thick, hardy, almost like water grass stuff in them, which I may just need to spot spray, and just take some Roundup and just spot spray those areas and then overseed them.
or take clethodim. That way you can accidentally spray some clover, and you're not, because you sprayed stayed on clover. It's kind of resistant to some point. There's some mixes out there early spring. You can spray glyphosate at a certain percentage with like some sodium. I don't even know what it is. And you cannot, it'll kind of kill the clover a little bit, but it'll come back from it. So I would try to stay away from glyphosate right now and
Right.
use your Buterac and your,
Unless you want everything killed, like that other that corn plot is just, I mean, it's all overgrown rye and turnips and just regular grass because it was never really killed off last year, and so it's this tall, and that's gonna take some work.
Get that sucker mowed.
Yeah. It's gonna take some prep, and I need to get a new mower new mower belt and all that good stuff. So maybe Monday I need to check Tractor Supply, see if they have my belt in stock, and um go that way with it. So
Yeah, you might want to mow that with the tractor.
yeah. It's, I don't know, my options are going down. I might just put the disc on the back of the four-wheeler and roll all that over and try to kill a bunch of it that way, or at least knock it down so I can access it to.
Or you come get the tractor with the Nix mower. You got to go get the trailer license, but
Yeah,
that too.
add another thing to the list.
Yeah. Speaking of trailers, that kind of rings a bell. The boat, the river's up. I think we're going from food plots to fishing, but we're gonna be able to fish the spring, summer. It's almost summer, but the river is high, and I think we're gonna have a good summer.
I hope so.
Probably start fishing Memorial Day weekend.
However many weeks that is. I don't know where we're going to be at or what we're doing. Jenny had talked about going to her sister's in Clear Lake, so we'll have to play that by ear. But we'll have to, when I get back from Wisconsin, I'll start trying to catch bait.
Getting the poles ready.
Yep. Next time I come over that way, I'll grab all the poles from you and make sure the hooks are all good to go. And yeah, I'm excited, man. I love that stuff. It's so much fun.
Yep, it's something to do.
Yep.
We have plenty of
It's like trapping.
is trapping fish. I'm excited to get back out. Maybe we'll catch another big one.
Yeah. Or a bunch of them.
In other news, I don't think I've dropped this, but I got my real estate license, so it's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
See how that goes. Another job, but
Never hurts to have side hustles.
nope, that's right. Keep grinding. But yeah, I guess tomorrow you got stuff going on. You got
Yeah, I got kid as a track meet. Sunday when this drops is Mother's Day. I think we're gonna plant the garden, plant a bunch of flower pots. Just try to do stuff outside. I mean, it's gonna be nice. You know, the kids are at that age where they're on their phone way too much and not get up, go to church, go do brunch, and then have some family time outside. So
nice. That's kind of what we're doing. I'm gonna go run around tomorrow. We demoed some 2RVs, and I got to take my 2RV back to Chris, and then Sunday I'm gonna mow the clover plot again at the in-laws. Jeff mowed it once, but I'll mow it again before I spray it next week, and then we're gonna have Mother's Day dinner at their place. So nice little Mother's Day weekend, and do whatever Jen wants me to do.
right, yeah, I'm hoping Monday. It looks like there might be a chance of rain. I'm hoping it'll be later in the day and not in the morning. I'd like to get down to the farm and I have a lot of four-wheeler implements at my uncle's that I don't have any place for them up here, and I just have them stored in his timber. So I think I'm going to transfer them to my farm. I got kind of a little area uh, where I had my crossover built. They bulldozed and pushed a bunch of stuff back up and over, and there's a nice spot, probably about the size of a pickup, that's where I'm gonna store like my four-wheeler disc and my cultipacker and my mower and all that stuff because I'll use it at my farm more than I will my uncle's now that I have a place to do it. So I'm gonna move my trailer and get all that stuff over there, and we'll see. I just need it to not rain so I can have access to places.
Yeah, do some jockeying. That sounds.
Yeah, just you know, keep doing. I got some adjustments to do on my property fence that borders the gravel road. It's pretty good for the most part. You know, all the lines are there, but there's a few spots where cedars have grown up big and through, and it's bending different barbed wire strands. And I want to just before I go in and plant um, the switchgrass and sorghum for the barrier right there, I want to make sure all that's good. And if there's a couple for the most part, the trees are like right on the fence line, but there's a couple little like old locust trees that are, a couple inches around, cut them off low. So I'll be able to mow and run the disc right there and plant that stuff in the next week or, hopefully the next couple weeks.
Yeah, if you can get that sorghum built or down, get it growing before.
Yeah, I mean, and that's one of the things, like, the sooner the better.
You got that.
I,
Do it. I do it as soon as when you're down there next, moving stuff around. Take your four-wheeler with you.
I probably will. I'll bring all the seed and stuff with, and if if it doesn't work out, then I just don't plant it. So, I'm gonna need my four-wheeler down there anyways to do stuff. So hopefully everything's dry enough. I can knock out a few more things off the list.
Yep, it's always changing. So
Yep.
Get that. We get some shots of rain, it'll grow, and then we don't get rain for a while, and you can get your CRP planted.
Yeah, I did get an email from the DNR, the nursery side. Did you get it?
About
Trees.
no, I haven't seen it anywhere.
Monday the 13th, they go any remaining trees are 30% off. So like a ton of oaks. Like I was looking at all sorts of things, like because I have them fingers that I can't really do anything with. As far as CRP goes. So one, I have a bunch of red osier dogwood planted in, but I thought about maybe getting some, swamp white oaks or different things to plant in all of these, grass waterways where eventually, in 15, 20 years, there's timber there,
Yeah. Yeah. If I were you, I would go with the swamp white in those areas. I wouldn't, there's not really a whole lot more that you can do there, but the red osiers are popping up. Are they?
Oh yeah, I mean they're budding and all sorts of stuff. Like I'm kind of surprised that it took, and like 95% of them are growing from when we put them in.
That's good.
I'll ask you this before we get done. You can do the same thing with willows, correct? Snip
Uh,
them and plant them.
yes, I think there's a different. I think willows are tougher to do that. I think you got to put them in water for a couple weeks. I'm not
You want
exactly.
them? You want them to root?
I think as soon as you cut them at that 45, and now there's different varieties of willows.
Right.
I don't think it works for everyone. I could be wrong, but you have to do some research on that. It's been so long since we've planted willows.
Right. And it's one of those, like, I have a couple spots there's an overabundance of them. And I have one draw that's probably maybe 30, 40 feet wide and goes perpendicular up to the road, and it's the wettest one. And I thought, man, if I could start getting some willows grown in here, and I don't know if it's too late, because I know with like the dogwoods, you wanted to do them early before they started like budding out. So I don't even know if I can transplant willows now, or if that's something I'm gonna have to do in the spring,
Yeah,
like early in the spring.
yeah, you have to look that up. But I mean, if I were you, I'd just go the red osier dogwood route next year and just keep adding to it.
Yeah, there's a bunch in the ditch right there too. Ton of
Yeah.
it.
Now every time I'm driving on the interstate, I see a red osier dogwoods. I'm like, oh, maybe I should do that somewhere. And I really don't have any good spots for it like you do. So
Right. I mean, it was like I didn't even know anything about them until we were talking about them one day, and I'm like, oh, this is kind of neat. They start doing the research, you YouTube them, and you're like, oh God, like this is like a win-win-win.
yeah,
It's food, it's shelter, it's bedding, it's everything.
the one thing I will say that when you get a whole bunch of stems, I mean, you can run them over and they'll coppice and they'll really get pissed off and they'll even do better if once you mow them a couple times. The quail are going to absolutely love them too. So
Yeah, and that's one thing I saw, that I've had coveys of quail and pheasants on that farm already, and I just, with the new CRP planting and having to mow it so much, and they're kind of losing a little bit of cover until the CRP gets established in a year or two. I want to do what I can to make them
yeah,
stay.
they'll probably end up maybe just going to your neighbors. I mean, there's so much good habitat in that area. You'll be fine. And
Oh yeah,
just wait till when it's 5, 6 foot tall and it's, thriving CRP, you're going to have quail in there like crazy. So,
oh I'm sure, yeah. And the nicest thing is, like, my uncle's got a bird dog, and he grew up down there shooting quail and whatnot, and he's allowed me to hunt his farm for so many years. And he asked me, hey, you care if I take the dog out and go for quail? I could be like, you know what, absolutely you can. Like, it felt so good, like I had something I could help him with.
someone asked me permission. That's been helping me. But another thing that's kind of along the lines of easy to do to help out once your CRP is planted, and you can go in and edge feather and just hinge cut a bunch of trees and just make it super nasty for them. So for
Yeah, the nice thing is, a lot of the stuff around the edges is just trash trees anyways.
yeah, go hinge cut a bunch of those, and the quail will absolutely love you for it. So
Yep. I've thought about that multiple times. So it'll be a never ending, fun, exciting thing. So
yeah, it'll get easier year 3, 4 when you're just maintaining, your burning or your mowing, whatever your
yeah.
management tells you to do.
Yep. The first year or two is just so much, and it's all new, and I'm just so worried about screwing something up, and you know,
But like Nate told you, the first couple of years, just I mean, still deer hunt it, do your thing, but just wait till year 3 or 4. It's going to be just night and day different.
Oh yeah, yeah, and even with no cover on it last year, I still had. I think the second biggest deer I had on camera was on that farm. So
Good. That's good. Yeah, I'm excited for this fall. Yeah, I think we'll end it with that. It's been 40 minutes.
yeah,
Got stuff to do. I got stuff to do.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
we appreciate everybody that's listening or tuning in on YouTube and watching this. Next week, hopefully, we have some new faces on here. It'll be probably TJ or Dano, one of the two. So have some cool stories, either fishing or like kind of a videography aspect. So one of the guys.
Should be fun.
All right, guys, have fun.
All right.
Have a good
Yep.
day.
See ya.
Later.